Even with billions of dollars funneled into Ukraine, the war does not seem to be close to being done yet. Now, I should inform you that multiple countries, that includes the United States, continue to announce weapons and financial packages for the war-torn country. It's also why many question the presence of Olena Zelenska, Ukraine's first lady, in Davos, Switzerland. Why was she there? To ask for even more funding, because why not? Also, in what seems to be an ironic twist when it comes to panelists at the World Economic Forum's annual meetings, Brian Stetler, a former CNN anchor who was known for spreading misinformation, was part of a panel that tackled, you guessed it, misinformation. Do you guys feel as if the WEF put speakers that specialize in doing the opposite of whatever it is that they're talking about, be it good or bad? Here's another example. John Kerry was there to talk about climate transformation and how time is running out while he takes a private jet all around the world. Now, I wish I was making this stuff up, but that's exactly what's happening over there. Now, before I continue, please take a second, drop a like for the video. Appreciate the love and the support, you guys. I feel as if a lot of my videos are being censored, so the likes definitely help out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're in need of your daily dose of the truth when it comes to global happenings, the state of our economy, the stock market, the housing market, social security, and whatever is going on in Washington, D.C. that affects our lives, our families, and our bank accounts, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure your notification bell's turned on. And if you own a home, make sure that home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. It's totally free. Get your free home warranty quote. The link is in the description down below. I did it. Thousands of you guys have already done it too. Get your free home warranty quote. Link is down below. Have you ever gone on a YouTube video or an article where the comments are disabled? Why does this happen? Is this because misinformation is easily spread through comments? Or is it due to a lot of people being aware of what's actually happening and are going to the comments section to make their case? This is what's happened with a specific article that questioned Ukraine's First Lady, Olena Zelenska, and her overseas trips that not only pushes for more funding for their country's cause, but is supposedly riddled with expensive shopping trips where she spends no less than $40,000 on her shopping sprees. Wow, what is really going on over there? Now, in her address at the recent meeting of unelected billionaires in Davos, the First Lady criticized the wealthy and the global elite for not using their influence more to help her country, and that government leaders were not doing enough. Evidently, President Biden sending billions and billions of our taxpayer dollars over there isn't cutting the mustard. But let me ask you guys, is our government doing enough for us? I'm not asking about whether our tax dollars are doing enough for war, but I want you guys to tell me if you think that the government is doing right by us. Because if they aren't, why should a foreign country expect funding from us? I also want to remind you that our country is pretty much broke. Sending even more money overseas will just be kicking the can further and further down the road and giving the next generation of taxpayers even more problems. I also just realized who paid for her flight to Switzerland. She also says that Russia may go beyond waging a war with Ukraine if they aren't beaten, and that the world will suffer if they aren't provided with what they need. She also said this:
Ladies and gentlemen, my husband, the president of Ukraine, when he addressed the leaders of 19 states who are economically the most powerful, offered them unto the whole world a formula about how we can become the most powerful in peacekeeping. It's a 10-point plan. It's 10 points about how we outweigh the Russian aggression and how we prevent existing regional and global crises from converging into one full-scale full-on global crisis.
Why is it that every time we hear about this war, there's always a mention of money? Serious question. And just to get you guys up to speed, the United States together with other NATO countries are going to be shipping a huge, wide-ranging package of heavy weapons to their country, with, mind you, the U.S. sending systems valued at almost $3 billion. But money's not an issue for us, right? There are other things that we have to focus on, one of them being climate change. U.S. climate envoy John Kerry was also in Davos to talk about this.
The State of the Union's coming up, and the president's got to, and I think will because he believes this. We got to move this because that's the only way we keep 1.5 degrees alive. So how do we get there? Well, the lesson I've learned in the last years, and I learned it as secretary, and I've learned it since, reinforced in spades, is money, 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 money. And I'm sorry to say that. I mean, yes, technology, yes, exciting new initiatives, yes, organizing, winning races politically. I mean, what happened in the midterms in the United States is nothing less than miraculous. And it happened because young people voted. And the second most voted issue was climate. It's a huge deal. But we have to go further. I have said this before, but I say it again. I'm convinced we will get to a low carbon, no carbon economy. We're going to get there because we have to.
For a guy who travels a lot on a private jet, he sure asks for a lot of money. I mean, sorry, he sure wants to lower carbon emissions. Now, another guy who seems to be doing the opposite of what he preaches is Brian Stetler. The former CNN anchor was also a panelist for the World Economic Forum. His specialty? Disinformation.
The clear and present danger of disinformation is our conversation here this afternoon. It follows a session just now about disrupting distrust, and of course those are connected, so I hope that's where we can start. I'm Brian Stelter, formerly of CNN, now a fellow at Harvard University. A reminder that the hashtag is WEF23. We can try to put some real information out into the world to make up for all the crazy.
Well, it sure seems as if Brian thinks that he's the voice of truth over there. In a previous panel, Stetler was also asked about media bias. Sadly for him, he was talking to a college student who did his research.
They pushed the Russian collusion hoax. They pushed the Jussie Smollett hoax. They smeared Justice Kavanaugh as a rapist, and they also smeared Nick Salmon as a white supremacist. And yes, they dismissed the Hunter Biden laptop affair as pure Russian disinformation. With mainstream corporate journalists becoming little more than apologists and cheerleaders for the regime, is it time to finally declare that the canon of journalistic ethics is dead or no longer operative? All the mistakes of the mainstream media, and CNN in particular, seem to magically all go in one direction. Are we expected to believe that this is all just some sort of random coincidence, or is there something else behind it?
It's too bad it's time for lunch. I think you're describing a different channel than the one that I watch. But I understand that that is a popular right-wing narrative about CNN. To your question about sharing those kinds of connections and trust, we don't talk about it enough, though. We don't share that reality about how that happens. And with regards to the regime, I think you mean President Biden. The last time I spoke with a Biden aide, we yelled at each other.
The question was very clear, wasn't it? He never even talked about the question. It's like he heard a completely different question. And where does he get off saying that it's lunchtime? Is it because the question challenged him? Is it because he really didn't have an answer? Also, I'd like to get the context as to why he and a White House aide was shouting at each other. It's like he wanted to gaslight this student. I mean, I'm pretty fired up, but let me ask you guys, do you believe that there is a bias problem with the media? Now, one thing that we don't see often in the media is the hardships that many Americans face today. It's like our struggles are non-existent since we're being told that the economy is doing great. But how much more did you spend in your last visit to Walmart or Target? Now, we mustn't forget that while these people continue to ask for our money, we continue to feel the effects of inflation. This is why it is best to manage our cash flow budget properly. Now, there's also the opportunities of creating multiple streams of income through side hustles or small businesses, passive income through real estate, or even the stock market. That is, if you want to learn more about these things and have a shot at obtaining financial freedom of some sort. But if you want to learn more about starting a side hustle, maybe an online business, or even just a basic small business, feel free to join us over in the Patreon community. You'll see a link in the description down below. But before I go, please don't forget to drop a like for the video. Also subscribe for your daily dose of the truth. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you on the next one.